Hello, good evening, and welcome here to What's New on the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're doing an episode of What's New. I actually have two that I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm going to do the one that's scheduled for tonight, which is featuring Mars Volta. The album is called Lucro Sucio, Los Ojos Del Vacio. Now, I apologize, my Spanish is not so good. We didn't get that in school. We got French instead. I did listen to the entire album, 18 tracks in total. So it was released on April the 11th, 2025, about 49 minutes, 49 and a half minutes in length on the Clouds Hill label. And production engineer on this was Omar Rodriguez Lopez. So the personnel for this band, Mars Volta, if you prefer, Omar Rodriguez Lopez on guitar, Cedric Bixler Zavala on vocals, Marcel Rodriguez Lopez on keyboards and percussion, Linda Filomeni, this I'm going to probably get, Sologi on drums, Leo Genovese on keyboards and sax, and Joss Moreau on bass. Additional musicians on the album include Daniel Diaz on percussion, Ava Gardner on bass, and Willie Rodriguez Quinos on drums. Okay, there are 18 tracks in total on the album. I'll try to give you a little bit of a breakdown of each of them. Mostly I've been trying to stay away from these kind of a breakdowns, but with a smaller set like this, multiple songs, like there's like 18 tracks, they're all fairly small in length. It's easier to do. There is one track here over 4 minutes. It's 5 minutes and a bit length. The rest of them are under 3.5 minutes mostly. So the opening track is called Finn. It's just a little bit. It's a high range female type vocals, although I'm pretty sure it's a man singing here, with a symphonic atmosphere. Sounds kind of like piano in the background. It's just a little opening bit, and it goes right into the second opening bit, which is Reina Tormenta. This one has a bit of a high range vocal part too, symphonic in atmosphere throughout the track. Heavy drum part, and the vocals get a little bit clearer towards the remaining part of the song. The next song is actually the kind of first fairly long song. It's about 3 minutes, a little bit more than 3 minutes in length. It's called Enlaza Los Tenidoblas. Tenidoblas? I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Starts with a percussion part with some keyboards and guitars and a little bit of sax in there. And then you have some you get a little bit of the sax becoming a little bit more dominant on this track. Not excessively so, but a little bit more. And the vocals are again in the high range with a synthesizer distortion background. So you get your voices, but it sounds like they're being synthesized quite a bit. I didn't mind this track. This was actually the first one that I liked. The other two was okay, but they were just bits, pieces. The next song is called Mictlan. It's got some of those spacey sounds, some odd vocal parts here. Then percussion parts, intermediate with synthetic sounds, the vocals more low range, but intermediate with that kind of high range sound that it gets. It ends with a kind of percussion and noises in a high range part for the vocals. Didn't really care for this track as much. So I would say about half of the tracks were above 5. More than half the tracks were above 5. Maybe 4 or 5 over 5.5. So nothing really spectacular with these guys, but I wanted to do them anyways because I've been had people tell me I should at least give them a listen, so that's what I'm doing here. The other thing about the band is it has a couple things that remind me of Pink Floyd. Lots of different sounds and noises throughout the album. I don't know if any of you've had this experience, but when I was new with Pink Floyd, I never really thought of them as a rock band initially. I thought of them as a band that made a lot of noises and kind of tried to add musical parts to it. I never really thought of them as a rock band until I'd been listening to them for a while, and then my opinion changed about them. But initially, I thought of them as just basically a band trying to put as many different noises and sounds onto an album as they could. That's what I get here with this band, although they don't actually sound anything like Pink Floyd. Just some of their characteristics or some of their stuff that they wanted to do on the album was basically the same type of stuff that Pink Floyd was doing, which is making a lot of different sounds and noises, using a lot of percussion with this band. So anyways, on to the next track, which is called Iron Rose. This is one of my maybe 2 or 3 favorite tracks on the album. It's got that kind of medium range vocals with some symphonic atmospheric parts kind of filling in the background of the vocals. You got some drums here with a very rhythmic kind of feel to it. You got the vocal parts get a bit clearer on this track towards the middle, towards the end of the song. The vocals are almost pop-like. And the bass comes in towards the end just to kind of filler, and it comes a little bit more forward so you get to hear it a little more. The next song is called Cue the Sun. Heavy synthesizer opening with some drum distortion parts here. The vocals are a little bit more raspy, a little bit more in the low range. It's a bit of a melodic song with a multi-vocal part with keyboards and synthesizers filling out a lot of the filler to give it a little bit more thickness, you know. Alba del Creta, is the next song. Starts out with a more melodic drum beat. So it kind of starts with this melodic drum beat with an acoustic guitar part in there as well. Lots of noises and synthesizer parts. It gets heavier and more distorted as the song goes along, and the vocals get a little bit clearer and with a little bit of that noisy vocally background that you get with this group. Voices in My Knives is the next song. It's a slow, melodic, percussion dominated, a little bit of guitar, organ parts here and there as well. A softer, quieter vocal part with intermediate high range parts filling in at different points. And then you got a bit of some drum roll parts towards the end of it. The next song is Pasadora de mi Sombra. I didn't really care for this song, but it starts out with a kind of a guitar picking part and then some drum percussion, drum sounds going on, vocals and voices and noises with synthesizer parts. It's kind of a mishmash, almost a meandering song at points. The vocals are both quiet and high in intermediate parts. Atmosphere and a drum dominant track, I think, pretty much. And then there's this kind of helicopter-like noise as well. So overall, it's just to me, it's just a meandering track. The next song is called Kalaji. The vocals a bit high in the range, but distorted, not too atypical for the album. The synthesizer parts and noises are continuous throughout this track. Drum dominate with some percussion parts as well. Lots of quirky noises, chimes, horns, and the such. Intermixed with each other. The song is melodic and atmospheric at the same time. It becomes rhythmic at times where it's producing a rhythm section to it, which is actually makes the song better, I think. Valsafiro, this is one of the other tracks I like quite a bit. It's slow melodic drum part with a synthesizer part and a rhythmic part. The rhythmic part makes their music better, I think. Before, it just kind of sounds like a bunch of noises, but when you put the rhythmic parts in, it creates that kind of feeling that it's actually a song. The vocals are in the lower range, distorted and covered by synthesizer parts overlapping it. You got some odd sounds throughout the song, horn-like instruments at times, and chimes and other percussion instruments. They love to use their percussion instruments on this album. So this one was one of the better tracks as well. Next is Mito de los Tres Cielos, and then the next song is, well, actually that's that song, really short synthesizer, melodic, slow beat, rhythmic part. Kind of leads into the next song. It's nothing spectacular though. On the next one is Un Disparo El Vacio, and I do apologize for my Spanish. Heavy frontal keyboard synthesizer part with some percussion sounds. The vocals are Latin-like with a kind of a pop feel to them. Then include a kind of a synthesizer-dominated part towards the middle of the song. Lots of that atmosphere in it. Heavy guitar parts at times. Probably starts around the 2/3 part of the, 2/3 of the way through, or, about 2/3 of the way through, it starts this kind of heavy guitar part, which actually adds to the song. It's not too bad. Now, the final tracks on the album, so we've got 5 tracks to go. The next one, just a bit piece, it's less than a minute long. It's called Detrás de la Porta Dorada. Just basically a drum, piano, percussion interlude with some synthesizer fills. Nothing spectacular, but it's not bad. I don't mind it. Malitos, which is the next song. I do like this song. It's kind of got a bit of a melodic beat with some drum, piano, and percussion parts. The vocals are high-end, melodic, distorted, with a synthesizer background and driven by synthesizers. The vocals at this point, towards the middle to the end of the song, strong and clear. Next track is called Morgana. This is the last 3 tracks are among the longest on the album. Morgana, piano opening with a distorted mid-range but synthesizer vocal part. It's a slow melodic song for sure. Multi-vocals overlapping each other. Percussion and drums dominate it. Synthesizer and piano at point to add that kind of atmosphere to the background of the song, give it that thickness. Not a bad track. The Cue, The Sun, this is a reprise of that. I do like this version. This is another one of the songs I like quite a bit. Mellow beat with a synthesizer key part. The vocals are faster paced, higher and clearer. This is one of the clearer songs, I think. Multi-vocals, so you got kind of layered. I don't know if it's just him doing all the layered vocals or others are singing as well. I think it's probably just him. Lots of synthesizer parts throughout this track. Some guitar, some bass, and dominated by heavy keyboards and synthesizers, this track. So the last track, which is called Lucro Sucio, also the longest track. It's almost 6 minutes. Easily the longest track, I think. Opens with a synthesizer, kind of a spacey feel to it. Giving me that kind of feel of Pink Floyd, even though it doesn't really sound anything like Pink Floyd, just the noisy parts. The voices in the background and other noises add to this particular track. It's got a lot of drums and percussion fills throughout it. It's a bit of a slow melodic, distorted vocal synthesizer feel to the vocal parts. It builds to a heavy synthesizer part. That's the big dominant thing here. And then the rhythm section kind of dominates this track, which makes it one of the better tracks on the album. It's got a bit of a pulse to it, and I guess is what I'm trying to say. Overall, I found it a bit of a choppy album at times, almost meandering at periodic times. Lots of noises, kind of spacey at times, kind of symphonic at times. A lot of that going on. The tracks at times seem to go nowhere, but then there's other tracks that kind of lead into other songs. So it's a little bit of everything here. I found it a bit of a hard listen because of so much different stuff going on, and not really being what I would call a full kind of. I didn't get a clear kind of organized feel from it. It feels like a little bit choppy, a little bit jumping all over the place, kind of using a lot of different instruments just to make noise for the sake of noise. It's not like Gentle Giant where there's kind of an orchestration to it. There seems to be not a ton of orchestration here. Maybe I'm being a bit hard on the album. This is my first kind of listen to it, my first kind of feel with Mars Volta. Maybe I just need to listen to them more to try to get an ear for their music. But overall, I found it to be a decent album, not great. And that's the difference between this show, What's New, and look back at a classic rock album. Well, one of the two differences. The main difference between the two is one deals with new stuff, the other one deals with classic stuff. The other main difference is with the classic ones, I tend to pick the ones out I like or love, whereas this one tend to pick out stuff that's new. Sometimes I pick albums I don't necessarily like. Sometimes I pick ones I really like, but I try to get a good range of stuff. So that for me is what I try to do with What's New. So anyways, I hope you've liked this video. It's a bit longer than I had anticipated because there's so many tracks, but we got it in there anyway. So please like and subscribe. If you've got any comments about Mars Volta or about this particular album, you can do that in the comment section. I will still be doing the Flower King's Love album. It just wasn't able to squeeze it in anywhere this week, but I still have working on it, and it will come out. It's going to come out as an kind of an off-listed one. It won't be. We will do another What's New next week for another band, but I will get this one in there somehow. Anyways, I hope to see you throughout the week. Take care and have yourself a good evening, and goodbye.